Would a Vox Machina return ruin Critical Role?
Get in the comments!
Before we dive into this latest Critical Role debate, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the latest tabletop and fantasy news. Last week, Critical Role officially brought back Keyleth as an NPC, as Bell's Hells headed to Whitestone to try to resurrect Laudna. Keyleth's appearance in the campaign isn't exactly a surprise, given that she's a central character in Orm's backstory and has ties to this whole Ruidus and Residuum plot that is central to Campaign 3. Now, during last week's video, we got more than a few negative comments talking about how Vox Machina's return would somehow be a detriment to the current campaign. There were jokes about how this was just a way to promote The Legend of Vox Machina ahead of its second season, or maybe it was a way to try to sell merch, or perhaps to give the show a ratings boost. And honestly, this whole idea that Vox Machina would somehow ruin this current campaign feels really remarkably cynical, and also runs counter to the whole ethos and world that Critical Role has spent the better part of a decade building. Exandria is a living world, one where all the past campaigns and the one-shots matter. That was a deliberate choice by Critical Role, one that makes their singular world feel almost like a shared universe, akin to a comic book universe or the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I understood that reference.
Now, it's a bit silly to have a shared universe that doesn't share characters and plot lines. It would be like Agent Coulson appearing in every Marvel movie with no Avengers payoff. More importantly, the events of the previous campaigns have a direct impact on Exandria itself. Vox Machina fought gods. The Mighty Nine ended a continental conflict. Critical Role's core storytelling is to tell big stories that leave a permanent impression on the world, and also, of course, the fans. Vox Machina in particular were established to be literal movers and shakers within Exandria. It would be weird for them not to come up in conversation when talking about Exandrian politics and intrigue. Because of the epic nature of past Critical Role campaigns, and because all these Critical Role stories take place in the same world, it was inevitable that we'd see characters, events, and places from previous campaigns intersect with current stories. In fact, the only reason that this didn't happen sooner was because Critical Role made a very conscious decision to silo Campaign 2 apart from Campaign 1. And even that had plenty of crossover with the first campaign eventually. And Bell's Hells literally named themselves after a member of Vox Machina, albeit an auxiliary temporary member.
Clearly you recognize the symbol of Vox Machina.
Any member of Vox Machina appearing in Campaign 3 would just be an extension of the story they've been telling since the beginning. To think that this was some sort of cash-making ploy or some cross-promotion technique feels just unnecessarily cynical. Luckily, we don't have anyone on the character sheet who would possibly have that sort of opinion.
I'm here about that delicate matter.
So why am I against the return of Keyleth and the rest of Vox Machina in Campaign 3? Do I hate fun and nostalgia? Do I think it's all just a scheme orchestrated by Jeff Bezos from his orbital satellite mansion to promote Season 2 for Vox Machina? Probably yes, but also I have some good reasons. First of all, it basically kills the agency and the stakes for Bell's Hells. By including Vox Machina in this campaign, they basically just hand out a stack of get-out-of-jail-free cards to the new characters.
Glee! I'm back, baby!
Which makes it much harder to actually think they're in any real danger. Which in turn makes it a lot harder to invest in their struggles and their growth, since we know they're just a sending message away from asking Storm Mommy or Uncle Pew Pew to come solve their problems for them. At their level, death should be a legitimate fear for adventurers, which raises the tension of combat and makes their victory seem hard-earned and rewarding, which gives us more of a reason to care for these characters and their stories. It's like watching a youth soccer game, and then 10 minutes in, all the parents push the kids off the field and start playing instead, and one of the parents is Grog and he would like to rage. Sure, they can do more cool stuff, but how do you go back to caring about those kids when you just saw Grog punt a soccer ball into orbit? If you have a bunch of level 20 characters in your back pocket who are capable of world-altering feats at this point, it really cheapens the impact of anything happening in the current campaign, since we all know they have demigods on speed dial to swoop in when the going gets rough. It's also just going to be weird seeing the cast interacting with their own iconic original Vox Machina characters, even with Matt Mercer playing the roles. It would be like watching Batman talk to Bruce Wayne.
That sounds risky. Risk is our business, Mr. Wayne. Of course, Batman.
It will just come off as awkward and cheesy and probably ruin immersion for some people. Also, let me say that the promotional scheme for Vox Machina Season 2 joke I made is actually a real possibility, although we have yet to confirm the existence of Jeff Bezos' orbital satellite mansion.
The truth is out there.
We know Vox Machina Season 2 is confirmed for 14 episodes, and we are getting very close to the time they would normally announce a new season, given the turnaround on Amazon Prime shows. So this could very well be a backdoor way of getting some more hype built up for Vox Machina now that the show is into Campaign 3 with a ton of fans who may still not be familiar with the original campaign. If that is the case, it feels a little exploitative to do that given the problems it could cause in the current campaign we just talked about. So who is right, and who is Christian Hoffer? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, why not toss us a like and subscribe on the way out.